Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out some more Tower of God, and I don't know where we're going with this one, honestly, because we finished the workshop battles. I don't know if that means that we finished the arc and we're going to be continuing on, but we did finish up the actual workshop battles for what they were. Team Sweet and Sour won. We had some very brief interactions of the whole team coming together, like all of the people that we've met up to this point being all in the same room, which is something that we haven't really seen. We've seen like little moments of crossover between the characters from like season 1 and the new ones from season 2. So everyone's kind of together now. We had a very cute moment with Bam, Rock, and Kun when they were all asleep together. It was adorable. I loved it. I don't know what we're getting into in this part of the series because we're in a brief moment of calm, which I proceed into with caution because those don't seem to last very long, especially since we had one of the heads of the family associated with what happened at the workshop battles. He is a light-haired, bespectacled man, and I do not trust him. We'll see how this goes. Let's get into these chapters. All right, we're picking up with them adorably sleeping on the same place. Is Rock a cuddler? Because I feel like he would be. Like, he wouldn't admit it. He'd be like, no, I don't need anyone, but I feel like he would. The question is he a big spoon or a little spoon? I'm voting little spoon. I'm just saying, I think he would like to be cuddled. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I know him better than I may give myself credit, but that's my prediction. Yeah, you did. You did make it back. You made it back to your friends. Everything's gonna be okay for at least a little bit. Again, I proceed with caution. Okay, so we still have an epilogue. Gotcha. Who's picking a fight with us? With the different color, we have a different coloring and different style happening. Is this a dream? A fantasy? Is it with Wangnan maybe? It was. I mean, sure, if somebody wakes up, sits up straight, and yells no, I get being a little bit shook. Nothing. Trauma. It's fine. He's like, food. Obviously, that's the problem here. Remarkably, everyone's safe. Honestly. I thought it would go south at some point. I was waiting for it. The chaos of just like being in too close proximity with Wangnan. The fact that he's like, it's over and then ring. It's not. I know because 1, this is an epilogue to the story we've already been doing, and 2, there are a bunch of more chapters. So there's definitely more happening. But I like seeing his happy little face. I'm gonna be so sad when things do not turn out well. She seems to have noticed the ring. Seems a little suspicious. You know, we keep cutting back, we keep showing it. He's having nightmares about it. Always dramatic. Oh, I'm just like, I'm so happy to like see them all. And they're like happy and getting a moment of peace. Also, like, is that a new tracksuit? Did I not notice? There's a lot happening. I'm used to seeing him in purple. Take care of him. Why won't you be there? Are they letting him travel with Team Sweet and Sour instead? What's happening? We're not separating, are we? Immediately defensive. I'm like, we're staying together forever. That's the plan, right? See? Same thing of like, what do you mean? What are you doing? Interesting though, to just be like, oh, well, we're already a higher rank. So like the casual way of just like slipping that in. I guess that makes sense logistically, but can't we all just stay together? This kind of fits into what I was saying at the end of the last couple of chapters where I said it feels like people's goals have shifted so much and there's like other things that are motivating them, and I was like, I don't know how all of these people and what motivates them and their goals stick together. Like, how do they make that work? And Shibitsu here saying we have our own goals and we have other things that we want to accomplish, even though we want to be with Bam and the rest of the people that we've become friends with, we have to go on and do other stuff. So we can't stick by him. So I get it. I'm still against it though. I just want them to be a big team together, like forever. The nervous sweat though, like, always dramatic. Surprising, suspicious, other people putting together the pieces. There's definitely more going on with Wangnan, and I feel like he has like such a strong persona of being dramatic and over the top and chaotic that people don't think about it, and like how much of that is his real personality and how much of that is him diverting attention, right? Because I think that Wangnan is way more capable and strategic and smart than he puts forward initially. Some of it could be intentional. I think some of it is just his personality, obviously, but I think there is a very intentional decision to push those personality traits to the forefront when he's interacting with average people, as opposed to pulling other traits forward, right? Uh-oh. I'm a little bit nervous now that we have some suspicion within Team Sweet and Sour, though. We just got everyone back together. We're victorious. I don't like that we're having some rifts already. Is this like the council of rankers helping? Also, I'm continue to not be okay with Lororo being in anything other than yellow. I don't know why the clothes are becoming a problem with me in this chapter, but I'm like, they're different, and that's not how we do this. Interesting that they did really block the broadcast though. Like they've decided what information to let out and what to keep hidden. There's, yeah, definitely stuff happening with Foog. I just look at this panel. Is my girl back? I wonder if we're gonna get her back at some point. I just want to see her again, you know? I miss her. She's so chaotic, but I appreciate that. Okay, so these are the people at the resort that are giving us shelter. Give up. Good luck with that. Like the little disclaimer of like, this is the only image. Are we gonna do something with a train then? Is there some kind of train heist or whatever? There just seems to be like a lot of tension in this meeting of like poking at certain subjects to see reactions and filing away that information for later, that I'm just like, I feel like there's some like invisible chess game happening here, and I'm just like, should I leave? But I'm excited if we're gonna do something with a train. Sleeping there. Kind of like a Sleeping Beauty situation. Like the casual, I've been there. We're gonna do something with a train, aren't we? Are we gonna actually get to see it? That's what like kind of worries me about like people splitting up, is I'm like, how much are we gonna see? Because we spent so much of the early part of the season just not knowing what was happening with the other characters from season 1, and I'm like, I've just gotten you back. I've just gotten to like be part of your story again and discover how much you've grown. I don't want to lose them again, you know? Even though I'm sure like Rock and Kun aren't going anywhere, like they're gonna be where Bomb is. Probably, I guess. I mean, Rock definitely. He's got attachment issues now. Oh, that definitely seems like foreshadowing of Bomb's gonna be the one on that train. Interesting. Thank you, Endorsey. It's a very good way of convincing someone to do what you want. Oh, wow. Okay, we're meeting up with you again. 97th floor. Jeez. Why does it look like a hellscape, though? Why is that happening? Oh, hello again. I'm nervous. I'm like, ah. My body is so tense. I'm like, okay, we're setting up some pieces again. All right. Okay, real talk though. How can this be a secret lair? It's like up on like a mountain. There's like a big gate. I feel like you'd be like, I bet somebody important and or powerful is there. Is it on the secret floor? Maybe? No, because it says the 97th. It doesn't feel that secret to me. It feels imposing. Oh, okay. We're just using violence to get in. All right. Sure. It's really not gonna work. Like, I feel like you're not even gonna be able to register how quickly this isn't going to work. Oof. Okay, that's one way to open up the door. I don't know if I would have chosen violence immediately, but okay. See, it's like this giant compound. How is this secret? Well, clearly not secret enough, because we're fighting our way into it. No. See, he's alone. You've already lost. Oh, I hate that one of the sound effects is snap, because I'm like, ooh, the pop crack, like, ooh, no, I'm like, no thanks. What are all the red orbs? See, this is very imposing too. This seems like someone who wants people to know who they are and where they are, right? Like, this is like intimidation. Clearly probably not gonna work. I mean, it doesn't seem like the intimidated type. He seems unfazed though. He seems nonchalant. I'd be a little bit worried, you know? But who am I? Imagine being the poor, like, lackeys that didn't get beat up, and you're just like, I'd be so, like, anxious. I'd be like, this is what we're talking about. The butting heads between teacher and student, one side of Foog and the other. Clashing of ideologies, perhaps? I mean, I think you're both scary. I don't think we need to choose one or the other. I think both, all of the above, is a good option. In fact, most of my experience with tests is that all of the above is usually the right answer. But I'm assuming they're talking about Fleckio? So does that mean Hwadan is linked to him, at least in some way, to have like countered Karaka's plan? I'm like, I don't know who to trust. I feel like there's so many things where like people in power and with plans have been like saying things and maneuvering around each other, and I'm just like, I don't fully know what's happening, but it's making me anxious. I do find it super interesting too that he like fought his way in. It makes sense to me now that he like fought his way in, because it was like one wanting to look into like look at Kuraka and like ask about what happened. But then also it's intimidation. Like I was saying before, like there's an intimidation to the like aesthetic of this particular like layer, but there's also intimidation to be like, hey, I can just fight my way in here, not even break a sweat. And the fact that I'm choosing to sit here and talk to you is because I'm choosing to play nice. I'm choosing to just give you a warning. But if I wanted to, there's nothing you could do to stop me from completely obliterating everything you've built here. Right? Like he doesn't have to say anything because he's already proven that he has the power there. I mean, Bomb definitely doesn't want a throne. However, I feel like if it comes back to Foog, it's gonna be to tear it down. I feel like that's more likely. However, people do tend to want to manipulate him to do what they want. And it seems like we're going to get him onto some kind of train to go to a secret floor. So who knows? The like reflect on what you've done too is such a like parent to child kind of thing to say. Like reflect on your actions and you know, don't do anything that is bad, right? Like it feels very like patronizing, which I think is also the intention of like, I can put you in your place so easily. Don't get out of line. You know, this is a warning. I suggest you listen to it. Like there's a ton of power and like authority to this without needing to do anything, especially since Kuraka's like on a throne, literally elevated in the room. Like there's so many things about his demeanor and like how he set himself up in the environment that say he is the authority, that he is the one with power and control over the situation. And it's being completely countered by everything in this interaction. The shadow thing, we're gonna deal with that again? I like that it slithers. Oh, and he knows about the train. Far future, maybe. Lots of close up on these rings though. You're not gonna tell me what you must? It's fine, whatever. Okay, look at this little face. Who are you? We got a little cup? Hi. The coverage just like, oh, is that why this one was mad? Are you two a couple and you're staring at someone else? Come on, I thought you were adorable. Now I'm questioning. Oh yeah, no, Emily's in a vial, so she's not very helpful at the moment. Can we talk about how they're part of this? Like they're scouting out, like they're never gonna let him out of their sight, are they? Or are we all spying? Are we all getting in on the drama? Certainly not spying. We're just watching over him. Free entertainment, it's fine. I like how Ku's just like, have fun, but like, y'all are weird. Always the strategist. I like how he's like the threat there. Like even though I associate them all as like being friends, I feel like Kun and Endorsi tend to butt heads a lot because I think that they have a much better idea of like the dangers and the politics of the tower given the families that they come from and the experiences they've had. I think they're both very strategically minded people, so they read each other really well, and I think that they've both read each other as threats, right? Like immediately the two of them saw each other and they were like, that is the person I should be worried about. And because of that, they've always had that little like underlying threat to everything that they do when they interact with each other of like, I'm watching you, I'm keeping tabs. And like the threat there of like, if you put Bomb in danger, it'll be very unfortunate for you is like, it's scary, but like, I'm glad Kun's on our side. You know, like I know Endorsi is too, but like, I'd be very scared if Kun decided that I was on the bad list for him. And like how Bomb's just like, I don't know what's happening, but okay. Oh, are we meeting up with our team again? I'm a little worried though, because this is like elite team stuff where he's like, all right, I brought my recruits for a specific thing. I also love that he's like, I got people on it. Like the way that he's like, even though it's kind of a joke with like them being there, like watching over him, Kun also knows like if anything actually happens, they're going to be able to help him. I love the trust there. We're not forgetting about that, are we? Still breaks my heart. I bet he does like take responsibility, not just from like a strategic point of view. Like he's like, I should have seen this particular thing happening. Like I should have been able to predict it and counter it and stop it. It's also because it's Rachel, right? And like he was playing his own game with that I think that he feels responsible. He's like, I should have considered the dangers and the consequences of that more than I did. Okay, Cool. So we're gonna like exchange, we're gonna swap between teams. There's gonna be some coordination. I like that at least. I feel like there's gonna be some secret stuff happening. Like they're gonna be on some kind of mission in the background. Oh yeah, we're going after Rachel. Let's go. Like he's like, Novik, you're in charge, but like not fully in charge. I'm still like fully in charge, but like you're basically in charge. Oh, he's got you. The way that they're just like in the background. Aw, the fact that he's like, I've never seen a movie before. Like, what a sweetie. I like how like perfectly aware of what's happening, and yet they're still like sneaking behind door frames and stuff. I don't even know, like I feel like the date is kind of like a gag. Like it's kind of like I was saying before, where I feel like Dorsey has a certain like way that she performs as a princess of Jihad, and I think that she puts forward again a certain persona that she wants people to perceive. And I think that most of this is just her wanting to like look mom in the eyes and like figure out what does she even feel after all of this time. Like, and it doesn't have to be in a romantic sense. It doesn't have to be in that direction. I think it's just her saying like, I want to spend time with him and figure out who is he, how has he changed, what's happened in the interim, who am I, and how have I changed, like in comparison, like who I was when she first met him to now. A lot has changed for her and she's gone through a lot. And how does she compare now? Like, do they even mesh? Because they've changed so much and they've been through so many different things. I think it's more about her just trying to figure it out as opposed to there being any like romantic intention behind it. I think that they've spent too much time apart for that to be the intention. Aww. Oh, look at the cute pie smile. Adorable. See, and there it is. Like, I love how they mirrored it, like they're in different directions, but that flashback between the two, I think that's part of it. Like she wants to see if he's still there because he has been through a lot, and her immediately being like, okay, what was it like joining Foog? Like how were you? Right? Like she wants to know what's happened, how has he changed? And he's obviously changed, but she wants to make sure that like the core of who he is still the person that she ended up deciding to throw in her lot for, right? Like she risked a lot for Bam and to be associated with him, and she continues to do that as he gets more and more of a reputation. So she is risking a lot with siding with him, but she wants to make sure that like the core of who he is hasn't changed regardless of all that's happened. I like how Bam's like, what do you mean private? And she's like, we need to go somewhere where there aren't a bunch of people watching us from the corner, lurking. Like how Bam's just like, I did not enjoy that. I think she's like, okay. For her, no name necessary. We all know. Are you though? What is the plan? Like just the, what? Poor darling. I think she likes to see what reactions she can get out of him. Like the little confusion of like, where did they go? How do we make sure he's okay? He's out of Rock's sight. He's gonna panic until he sees him again. Oh, it's this team up, which is odd. Yes, hints, please. These are all good questions. I'm with you. Is it truly abandoned though? We've seen some spooky castles throughout these couple of chapters. Are these the hooded figures that we hinted at before? I have a lot of words, but I'm not gonna say any of them. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna move on because I think that's where we're ending the chapter. It's fine. I have inner peace and tranquility. I won't let her affect me. Despite the ending of that chapter tapping into my barely contained rage, I think that there were some really important things in that chapter. And I think especially since we had so much like action and hurrying around at the end of the workshop battles, that I think we needed this moment to just like readjust to what was happening and really question where the characters are at, right? I always say that you have to switch between scenes of action where stuff is happening in the plot and reaction where characters are processing what has happened and changing because of it. That's what makes a really compelling story, because you can have lots of stuff happening, but if that stuff isn't fundamentally shifting the characters and their motivations and how they're interacting with the world, then none of the stuff matters. So I really liked getting these couple of chapters where we did have some kind of hints at plot things happening in the background with like stuff with Foog, the woman that shall not be named, and you know, some of the rankers that have been helping and associated with like Bomb and his friends. So we have lots of little pieces being set up, but the focus was on characters and like who they are, right? Like I talked a lot about like personas and what parts of our personality that we put forward. And I think that that's something that a lot of the characters showed in this chapter of what's the mask that they need to wear, and some of the layers that we're going to pull back on that, especially with Wangnan, of who are we in front of people and what is the person that we portray ourselves as, especially when there are things about us or our past that we don't particularly like. And that doesn't mean that it's a lie or it's disingenuous. It's just that, you know, someone like Wangnan, I feel like has an opportunity to have a fresh start. With all of Team Sweet and Sour, they didn't know him before that like initial floor test that they all met at. So they don't have any reference point of who he was before that point, which means that he is allowed to put forward the person that he wants to be at this point, regardless of who he was before that point. And all of them can, right? Like all of them met at that moment and didn't know each other before that, with the exception of like some of them that did have some crossover. But, you know, it means that they can start afresh and they don't have to be weighed down by who they were in previous circumstances, probably to survive. Like the tower is brutal and cruel and unforgiving. And I'm sure that there's lots of moments where they've had to be people they didn't want to be, you know, like even in Dorsey, I'm sure that there's lots of things that she's done and the kind of person that she portrays herself to be because she has to fit into the mold. She has to be the person that people expect her to be in order to keep going. But also, like, I think to make herself okay with it. Like, I feel like in Dorsey's a very complex character where I think she makes compromises with herself all the time, where she has to accept that she's gonna sacrifice things and compromise and justify things to herself because she has to make decisions, and they're not always decisions that are easy or that she completely agrees with, but they're just the best of the options. So I feel like she has a lot of moments where she has to put on like a mask in order to like be okay with what she's doing. So I just think that there's some really interesting things with character there, and, you know, straight up asking like characters like, what are you gonna do now? Like, what's the plan? What are we after? And the characters having to question that and have answers. And even if it's just here's what we're doing for right now, I'll figure it out later. You know, like I feel like there are so many questions up in the air of like, what do I want? And what's the motivation? And like being with your friends is, yeah, a great goal to have. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to prioritize being around people that matter to you, but it's not a great way to have like forward momentum because he's with them now, right? Like he's probably gonna be like, okay, I'll get a D rank so I can be with my friends again. We could all be together, but like that only gets you so far. Okay, you get to a D rank, then what? Right? Like it's the problem with making goals that have that like end point, is that eventually you'll get there, and then what? And I think a lot of them have also had to evaluate of like, is that the endpoint I even want to get to, right? So I just think there's some really good moments, character moments in those chapters, like quieter moments of them resetting and figuring out what they want and what motivates them and who they want to be, and how that might contrast or butt heads with who they used to be or who they actually are. And like, they're gonna have to deal with that getting revealed or the consequences of that. Like you can't run away from past mistakes forever. Like you have to get to a point where you meet them head on and you deal with them, and then there's still going to be something that just kind of randomly pops up every once in a while, but you have to kind of fess up to them. So I think that there are some interesting things coming. I'm excited about whatever this train is. We'll have to see what all pans out and how the teams are going to end up interacting with each other as they kind of switch members around and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed reading those chapters along with me. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post a Tower of God video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!